Imagine you're in third grade watching TV. Then you hear yelling. Then you hear sirens. You come out of your room like in the horror movies, looking around, questioning to yourself what's happening. You walk down the hallway into the living room. Then you look out the window. That's when you see it. Multiple cars, a bunch of lights. Then you see your mom being handcuffed, wondering what she had done. Well, the third grader was me. I later learned she was arrested because of alcohol. Alcohol can affect so many kids mentally, physically, and emotionally. One of those people were me. When I was 6 or 7 years old, both my mom and dad were heavily involved with alcohol. This led to fights which eventually led to divorce. But she didn't stop drinking. At the age 6 or 7, this doesn't really affect me the most. My mom, my sister, and I moved to Hawaii after. Thank God my mom had a friend that lived in Hawaii. We all lived together for about a year. Eventually, my mom's friend popped the question. At this point, our lives were basically coming back together. But then my mom was still drinking alcohol. Here I am in my room, I hear yelling. This goes to the scene that I told you about before. The outcome of that is my mom went to jail for about 3 weeks. I had to live with my friend Landyn. When my mom got out of jail, we moved to Kentucky because that's where my grandparents lived. About 1 to 2 months into living in Kentucky, my grandparents, my sister, and I were coming home from a camping trip. We go into the house and I went upstairs because that's where my room was. My mom came out of her room to say hi or how was the trip, but she sounded a little bit weird. That's when my nana told me to get away from my mom because she was drunk. She could tell this because of the way my mom was talking. My mom got mad and I got a little bit scared. I went to my sister and I said, let's go all the way downstairs. A few minutes later, my nana went to my sister and I and said we had to go. I was still scared at this point. Then we left to go to a hotel to see if my mom was better the next day. About 1 year later, my mom and my grandparents were fighting, and my sister and I had to call the police. We sat in my room until we saw the police car roll up the driveway. I was so nervous, and my heart was racing. That's when we went downstairs to the door. I took a deep breath and let the officer in. My mom was taken to jail for about 3 to 4 weeks. After she got out, I remember going onto the deck and seeing my mom crying. I asked her what's wrong, and she said that she would be taken away for about 2 months. She was taken to a help center. When she got out, we moved out of my grandparents' house and into an apartment complex. Maybe about 1 to 2 years later, my mom got a boyfriend. He was cool until I found out he was heavily involved with alcohol. This led to him fighting with my mom because they got drunk. You can probably guess the rest of the story. That stuff really affected me. I went to therapy for a year as soon as we came to Kentucky. Therapy helped with all the emotions that were left inside of me, but I will never forget the time that my mom was being handcuffed. Another thing that affected me is that I don't have a consistent father figure. Sometimes it gets tough on me, especially when I don't have anybody to do anything with. But at least I know I'm not the only person whose life has been affected by alcohol abuse. In the years 2009 to 2014, 8.7 million kids were affected by their parents drinking alcohol. That's a substantial amount of people, especially for 5 years. People can be seriously affected. Some people can lose family, not only because of divorce, but also health problems. This is all shaping into the person that I am today, but some people can fight through their situation. Many people have overcome the challenges of having parents who abuse or are addicted to alcohol. Few examples are Eminem, Demi Lovato, Adele, and many more. If they can overcome it, so can I. Thank you.